stage.
So I have an open spot, a drawing, and a piece of sheet metal, and I'm gonna make it into something cool. Watch this. Here you can see my little box that I made. It's got the latch there. It's got 2 hinges on the back. Open it up. I got it primed inside. Primed in silicone, just silicone the edges just to keep any cold air from exiting. And then I have these 3/4 inch lips on each side, and that is to hold in the styrofoam, which is 3/4 inches obviously, and there's going to be 1 layer on each side, 2 layers on the bottom, and then 1 layer on the roof. So you can see I have that riveted and a few tacks inside, whatever. That doesn't really have to be watertight, so that's good enough. Now here is the inside box, which I made to fit snugly inside of here. It fits in there. It's a bit of work to get it in there, but that's how I want it. I want it tight. You can see I have the same basic style with the folded edge, and then I just tacked it along here. And what I can do is I can take a silicone of some sort, or something that's rated for, let's say 0 degrees, because this is actually going to get pretty cold with ice. And I don't know if regular silicone lasts with the cold temperatures being liquid form, I guess. Probably would, but I might look into that. But I like it because it's custom fit to what I needed, and then I'll paint it up like an old ammo box. Oh, and one little tip, you can see how this is shorter. Well, if you put this box inside of this box without these vice grips on the sides, and it drops down too far, you're fucked. Yeah, you're not gonna get it back out, at least not in one piece. So that's why I put these vice grips on here until I get the styrofoam on the bottom, which will keep it at its right height. So it'll be 1.5 inches up off the ground, because there'll be 2 layers of styrofoam. After I get it all together, I will have to somehow figure out how to put in bungs for the water to obviously flow in and out. And then I'll probably have some kind of wiring that goes in there for the fuel pump or for the water pump. So I went to Menards and I got some of this foamular insulating sheathing. This goes on the outside of houses usually, or really anywhere for insulation. And I'm using this to insulate the inside of my cooler. You see I have it cut to fit. I have 1 layer on each side and then 2 layers stuffed into the bottom there. This will help keep it colder for a lot longer. Just a little bit makes a big difference. And then also what I got was a Shoreline Marine bilge pump. This is like something you'd have in your boat if it's taken in water or whatever. It's a 12 volt. This one is 600 gallons per hour, so 10 gallons per minute. The average pump for a intercooler, air to water intercooler, is about 8 gallons per minute, so this will be about right. This is pretty cheap. It was 20 bucks at Walmart, and this one goes inside of the tank. You can see the pickup at the bottom. Ideally, I would have liked to have one where the pickup was outside so that I didn't have to use up water space in here with this, but this will work. And then, like I said, the wiring, I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, because I don't really want it just coming out of the top of the box, because that's kind of a little bit tacky, but we'll see. God, I hate it when my phone fucking rings. Right in the middle of something. To my friends, don't call me, I won't answer. Now you can see that I have these corners and all the seams JB welded, and then I also tacked in these bungs, or these couplers, like a 1/2-inch coupler, 1/2-inch MBT coupler, tacked them in, and then JB welded the inside and siliconed around the outside. That's gonna mount in here like that, in the bottom, and then you have your hose. Go from there to there, obviously. Comes out, goes into the intercooler, comes back in up top, and drains through this. So there's no fitting needed there. Okay, so now for the inside here, I have some primer, obviously. This primer I'm going to use on the whole box. And then I have this high heat ultra. It's like grill paint. It's good for up to 1200 degrees. I probably would have been fine with regular engine enamel, but I wanted something that was as durable as I could get because I'm actually going to use this as a cooler, so there's going to be ice and pop, and I don't want it to scratch super easy. So after this JB weld is dried and I sand it smooth or whatever, I will take it and I'll prime it, and then I'll coat it in this. And then the outside, it'll be primered again with just this regular sandable primer, Rust-Oleum like I use for everything. And I have this camouflage green. Actually, it's called Deep Forest Green. That'll go on there. Right, but before that, there's some yellow paint that I actually don't have yet, but I need to go get some, and I have some stickers. So what I'm going to do here is, these are just 1/2-inch tall stickers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write stuff on here after I paint it yellow. So I'll prime it, paint it yellow, and then I'll put these yellow stickers on, and then I'll go over it with the green, and then I can peel these stickers off, and I'll have a yellow painted lettering underneath. So it's not actually stickers, it's gonna be paint. Got the 41 in here, really dusty. Got the 40 over here, and I'm actually working on my Nova right now. Since the JB weld is drying and I kind of wanted to break from the car. So I'm doing an intake gasket on this because it had a pretty bad vacuum leak right around the intake gasket in the center and the exhaust exchange area where they always freaking leak. That's that. Get this thing on the road. It is October 10th. I think it's October 10th. October 9th. And I haven't even had this car out this year, which is pretty damn sad. So. I'm going to show you what I got going on here today. So what I did was I took the just another piece of foam and I cut it to fit snugly in here, and then I very gently just set it in there just so it started. And then what I did was I put a liquid adhesive or construction adhesive, put that on the styrofoam insulation, and then I shut the lid. And when you shut the lid, it's going to touch and pick up the styrofoam with the glue. And then I just took and put some clamps on there, and now I'm letting it dry overnight. Another thing that I did in here was I took the wiring that came with this pump and I cut it to about an 8-inch length there, and then I have the rest of it on the outside here. What I did was I drilled a hole for the wiring, ran it through. I used a bunch of electrical tape and shrink tube around it so that it has insulation so it doesn't get cut, and then I JB welded the wiring right there to seal it off. Another thing that I did here was I have this waterproof little fitting here that's supposed to be waterproof for electrical, and then I coated it with just some liquid electrical tape. Now I'll show you one of these waterproof little connectors. It's just one of these. The top screws off, or the cap screws off. Inside there's a prong, kind of like a bullet on each side, and you put the wiring through the hole, and then you squeeze, and then you tighten this onto the nut, or tighten the nut onto it, and it squeezes the wiring in. So I'm not sure exactly what these are called. We just had them sitting around the shop, so I'm using them. And the reason I did it this way was because I was thinking it'd be cool if I could have some sort of a stud that just came through the bottom, and I could use a ring terminal on the inside and a ring terminal on the outside, but I don't know how all that works with water and electricity. It just kind of scares me. And also I didn't know exactly how to do it properly with the stud, because it couldn't be a metal stud, obviously. It'd have to be some sort of a metal stud coated with something or insulated. So I just did it this way. And then what I have over here is this water pump. All I did was I took some nuts and some bolts, if you can tell there, and I just bolted it up and then just tacked the nuts into place, and that's what holds the pump in. If I were to, let's say, run this wiring that came all the way with it, or it came with it all the way through, silicone all that in, and then this water pump goes out, well, what are you going to do then? Then you'd have to cut and splice all this, so I'm just saving myself a step now before it's painted, and I can still JB weld. And I use JB weld because, first of all, I had some left, and second of all, I don't like the fact that silicone can contract and expand with heat and cooling, because this is going to be changing temperatures quite often. So I just went with the JB weld. It's way overkill, I know. Someone's gonna hate on it, but it works. And then on the underside, I'm just gonna use regular silicone because that's on the outside. Look at this fitting here. This is actually what I used in my cooler here for my drain. You can see that's just a regular elbow or ball valve style drain plug, or drain valve, whatever. And then basically all I did was I stuck it in there, and there was actually a rubber washer that came with the other one. And then you just tighten it up against the box, obviously. And what I did is I also took some red RTV, 700. It's good for 750 degrees, and I coated the threads, and I also coated the rubber washer, and then I put a little bit on the face of this so that it's all tight in there, and then I went around it with the RTV again. I could have welded all this in, but I just elected to do it this way. And look at this stupid box elder bug walking on wet paint. So that'll work. Now I'll let that dry, and you can obviously see I have this painted yellow where I'm going to put letters. A lot of work for this little box. Right here I'll show you guys how I'm sort of doing this. Basically what I do is I lay it out according to kind of how I want it to look, and you can see here that I took my letters or my words and I kind of cut them apart so I could kind of space them out a little bit. It might be hard to tell what these say, but this says big ball NO2 shot. So what I'm doing here is I have it marked kind of where I want it, that the spacing is right between the words. And then what I did was I measured from the bottom of here up to where the bottom of the one side was, and then I did the same thing on the other side, so you know that it's going to be straight. Then you run the tape across, and then you butt up your letters to the line. Now it's pretty simple, but this is very tedious. I've been down here for a couple hours trying to make sure this is all right and looks okay. I'm pretty meticulous when it comes to this stuff. Basically now all I gotta do is peel off this back. This is a painter's masking vinyl, so it actually peels off of your whatever you're painting fairly easily. It's not quite as sticky or stiff as a real vinyl, and it'll peel off, leaving the word exposed. And then I just have to pick away at the little openings like in the B's. So there's that. You can see it says big ball. Nothing too terribly exciting, but end product will be nice. And I chose NO2 because NO2 looks more like something you'd see on an animal box. You wouldn't really see something like nitrous, the word spelt out on an animal box. And big ball is like, you know, like a musket ball or something like that. And then shot, NO2 shot, like shotgun shell or shot. Now this is actually the easy part. The hard part is getting it laid out and marking where you want it and having it all say exactly what you want it to say. I spent a lot of time thinking this out. All right, now that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take my little Cummins sticker. I don't know if you can see, probably not. There is a Cummins logo in there. Oh, and there you see it. That's gonna go on this side. And then this right here. Man, this is hard to see. But that's two pistons in an X pattern. You can probably see it. Pistons and connecting rods. It'll go there, and it'll be done. Now that I have this all painted and the letters peeled off, I'm going to take some of this 3M weather stripping that's 3/4 of an inch wide, and I'm going to actually cut this to shape, or cut it to length, and put it on here so this is sealed. Again, this is a cooler, and there's double insulation on the bottom, a single layer of this pink insulating foam in between 2 layers of steel. And I actually JB welded on some handles, make it look a little cooler. Get it? Cooler? Ha. Terrible joke. There's the fittings, there's a water pump. The latch is adjustable so that even with the thickness of this, it'll still close. I can still adjust it to fit perfectly. Done. Looks pretty dope.